Hello, smart drivers. Talking to you today about driving examiners. Those crusty old people that sit in the car, write things on clipboards out of the corner of your eye. You can just see them like they're busily writing away. And they drive you absolutely crazy and cause nerves and anxiety and trepidation while you're taking your driver's test. And for most people, after doing a poll, it's the driving examiner, the nerves, the anxiety that causes them to lose their mind and unfortunately not pass their driver's test. Driving examiners is what we're going to talk about today. So, it feels like forever since I've seen you because I went out of drivers on a kind of a road trip to Calgary and back, which many of you may or may not know. From where I live, it's a 7-hour drive if traffic is good and whatnot. But we did that last week, and we did that because it was Tracy's birthday and she went to see her parents. Her parents live in Calgary, so we went down there for her birthday, had the celebration, and then came back the next day. So down one day, back the next, and it was pretty quick. So I've got a few good stuff on dash cam, on situational awareness, driving on the highway. Somebody was actually passing and driving in the lane towards me at one juncture. I've got that on dash cam, so I'll make a short video for that and put that up for you as well. So lots of people here this morning. My friend Mallory from the Maritimes. Hello, Mallory. Just weirdo. I like your comment. I'll talk to you about that. My friend Marion is here. Nalmic. Yes. Lane changes. Motorcycle beside you. I'm gonna amend Marion what you said a little bit. Don't slow down. Okay, just maintain your speed. Keep your signal on until the motorcycle either slows down to create a gap for you or speeds up to pass you. Many drivers say to me, oh my God, they just speed up and they pass me, and I lose my mind because they sped up and they blocked me from getting in. No, if other drivers speed up and get past you, they're actually doing you a favor because they sped up to get past you when you put your signal on to change lanes. They're actually getting out of your way. They're actually doing a good thing. Just because other drivers or road users, motorcycle riders and whatnot are being aggressive by passing you, they're actually doing a good job. They're not blocking you. I mean, if they come right up and they start what's called pacing you, and they're right beside you, then yes, they're being, all those bad words that we call other drivers when we're in the car, but they're not. They're doing you a favor by getting past and getting out of the way. Elevator fan is here. Michael says he just passed his permit test last week. Congratulations on that. That is awesome, my friend. Now you can get in the car and start practice driving. Pierce, while driving, do anxiety happen during driving? Yes, it does. And exposure therapy. The more that you get in the vehicle, the more that you start driving, the better that it's gonna get easier as you go on. Yakov, tuning in from Israel, where drivers are the worst. Haven't been to Israel yet. Would love to get there and do some videos on driving. And talking about that, I am planning a trip for late September, early October to Australia. And I'm going to shoot some videos down there and visit some of my friends, my dear friends that I haven't seen in almost 20 years, which I just hate to say that 2006 was almost 20 years ago. Crazy, crazy. Elevator fan. Okay, Lucy, I had the best examiner for any driving test, and yes, most of them are really good. Most of them put their pants on it one leg at a time, just like the rest of us. Unfortunately, every now and again, they do have their bad days, but for the most part, they're there to help you out. They know that you're nervous. They know that you're a new driver with not a lot of experience. They're going to do the best they can to help you out. They're good people. Traveling, evening from the UK, everyone. My examiner was really nice. Stalled at a junction, but recovered and passed. And for those of you in North America who don't know about European tests, most of the European tests are taken in manual transmission. So just with that additional challenge, tests in Europe are harder. I will say that because not only do you have to pass the driver's test in cities that did not grow up with the motor car, and what I mean by that, go to Calgary, for example, go to Los Angeles, California. These are cities that grew up with the motor car. Lots of freeways, on ramps, off ramps. These cities grew up with the motor car. They grew up in the 20th century, and the roads are made for motor cars. If you go to cities in Europe, when I was there in Madrid, and there's videos here on the channel on Madrid, Barcelona, These are not cities that grew up with the motor car. They grew up with the horse and buggy, and then they were adapted to the motor car. So you've got that challenge of driving and learning how to drive in Europe and pass a driver's test, and you have to know how to drive a manual car. Now, manual cars are a lot easier to drive now because of technology. They have hill assist, electronic fuel injection engines, which makes them a lot easier for clutch control and friction point and those types of things. But it's still really tough for people in Europe to get a license, okay? Marion, when you are stopped on a level part of the road, do you still have to turn your wheels to the curb? And if so, which way would you turn them? Marion, if you're parked on a level road, no, you don't have to turn your wheels towards the curb. Just make sure that you got it in park and you have your parking brake applied, and you're going to be golden. All right. Cantonese, I am watching all driving videos these days and will take the road test in 2 weeks in Salt Lake City, Utah. Thank you for the videos. So helpful, and you are most welcome. So happy to hear that we can help out and get you ready for your driver's test. So what we do here, Elevator Fan, I forgot to say he's here from Monticello, Indiana, tuning in. Awesome. And we'll do the presentation here. We have a presentation, it's about 10 or 12 minutes. After the presentation, we'll come back and we'll answer remaining questions about passing a driver's test, starting a career as a truck or bus driver, or being a safer, smarter driver. And check out Pass Your Driver's Test First Time course package over at Smart Drive Test website. Guaranteed to pass your driver's test, and as a bonus, we throw in both the winter and defensive driving smart courses to keep you safe after you get your license, because new drivers are at the highest risk of being involved in a crash. And right now, June, July, August, early September, we are in the highest number of crashes of the year. Contrary to what most people think, that, oh my God, wintertime, we're all going to die and the abominable snowman is going to crush my car and I'm going to die. That is not true. It's the reverse. Absolutely the reverse. You are more in danger right now in the summertime until the middle of September than you are in a blowing snowstorm. Okay? Because the worst that's going to happen in a snowstorm is you're going to lose control of your vehicle. You're going to spin off and end up in the ditch. Now, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get killed because there's so many people on the roadways, and you are kind of relaxed and you're thinking, oh yeah, the world's good, it's awesome, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, you look up and there's some knucklehead passing the semi-trucks in front of you, and they're in your lane heading directly towards you. All right, so situational awareness on the highway. Pierce, this could be hard, such as turning the steering wheel, the looking, watching out, getting the car inside the yellow. Okay, so Pierce, what I would strongly counsel you to do is to go to a parking lot, work in the parking lot, get comfortable with the vehicle first. The primary controls, the steering wheel, the brake, the throttle, which is the gas pedal, accelerator, / accelerator. They're all the one and the same thing, okay? Get all of that under control before you head out into traffic, before you start doing the specifics, skills, techniques, and abilities you need to pass your driver's test. Tanvi, I've been trying twice road test in BC, Canada. Second attempt was so nice I didn't check properly just 5 minutes before. I couldn't know about speed limits on that road was 50. Okay. Excellent. Yakov, thank you so much for the super chat there, my friend. Awesome. You got any questions, let me know. And my friend Big Mac Sam is here from the Bronx. Hello, my friend. Excellent. Okay, Shin, taking my New York City road test second time Wednesday. I think you got it, but New York City driving is rough, and yes, it is. And when I was down working with Big Mac Sam, I was unsuccessful on the driver's test because, as you know, in Manhattan and the 5 boroughs, Staten Island, the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, I'm missing one. It's right there. Long Island, I think. No, it's not Long Island. You can't make a right turn on a red light. Okay, so know that. Excellent. Rain, Shin taking mine tomorrow in the Bronx. Good luck on that. That's where my friend Sam is. Good luck with that. All right, so we're going to get to the presentation here, and then we'll come back and we'll answer all the remaining questions. Crusty old driving examiners. And unfortunately, yes, some of them do look like this, but not very often. They know that you are nervous. They are going to help you out and do the best they can. These people are the gatekeepers. They determine whether you pass your driver's test or not, okay? Your job as the student taking the driving test is to demonstrate that you have due care and control of the vehicle in changing road and traffic conditions. That's your job. Their job is to determine that you in fact did that. All right? So that's what you need to do. And where are we? They've changed the thing on me here. There we go. All right. Speaking Cantonese, thank you so much for the super chat. Awesome, my friend. Thank you so much. Just awesome. All right. For those of you new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a truck driver in the 1990s, driving semi-trucks between Ontario, Canada, and the United States. Became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1997. Most of my driving instruction career has been with semi-trucks, coaches, buses, all these bigger vehicles, logbooks, air brakes, whatnot. I've written a book, Air Brakes Explained Simply, to try and help decipher that. I need to do an update on that. And we're also releasing driving test secrets. And we've had some challenges with getting it uploaded to Amazon, but we're hoping, crossing our fingers, that it will be Wednesday. We'll get that up for you and have it available. Early 2000s, I went to the University of Melbourne, where I did my graduate degree in legal history, which many of you may or may not know is the study of policing, courts, and prisons. My expertise is in policing as it relates to prisons. While I was going to university, drove buses for Greyhound and one of the regional bus lines in Australia. And in 2015, after a stint at the universities teaching there and whatnot, I started the online business, the YouTube channel, the website and whatnot, and offering courses. And if you want to know more about me, you can check out the autobiography over at the Smart Drive Test website there. Good stuff to have a look at. Critical basic driving skills. And who was I talking to here? It'll come back to me. But whoever, Pierce, yes, Pierce, have a look at that video, okay? Critical basic driving skills. There's a whole playlist here on beginner drivers. I'm writing myself a note here to put that up in the description for you and for anybody else who might need that. And look down in the description, you'll find the beginner playlist, and you can find that video there. Have a look at that. As well, there's a podcast on driving examiners. If you want to know more information, check that out over at the Smart Drive Test website. All right. So good stuff there. Okay, so driving examiners, their job is to assess your ability to have due care and control of the vehicle in changing traffic conditions. That's what they're doing, okay? To pass your driver's test, you need to do this and do this well. Okay, your job is to take away the driving examiner's right to fail you. Nothing less, nothing more. And know that right now, for many of you who are taking your driver's test in late June, July, August, the first 2 weeks of September, that this is the toughest time of the year. Driving examiners are busy. They're backlogged. They're doing mountains of driving tests because most high school students are on holidays, so they're going in and booking their test. So if you haven't booked your test already, you're gonna have a tough time with that. Okay, so you probably need to do that already. All right, take your test. And I would, if you got a test coming up and you got some time between now and road test day, you can wait until the winter time, the late fall. And I will tell you right now, Staten Island, thank you, Sam. That was one of the boroughs that I missed. Okay, that it's easier to take your driver's test in the wintertime. All right, and we could talk about that later. But right now, I'm just going to say, do the best you can in the summertime. Okay, first impressions with driving examiners. They do matter, okay? You don't get a second chance to make a first impression. It's just the way of the world. Wash your car, clean the inside out, take it down to one of the car wash places for vacuums, okay? Because the vacuums are usually free. Vacuum out the inside and do a pre-trip inspection. And this is one of the other pieces that I have in Driving Test Secrets, is there's actually a list for the pre-trip inspection if you're taking your own vehicle down. If you're going with a driving school, ask your driving instructor if he or she did a pre-trip inspection on the vehicle before you go down for your driving test, okay? Because you don't want to be denied your driver's test because things like you don't have a front license plate and your state requires a front license plate. The passenger side seatbelt doesn't work, or there's a brake light out. These are things that can be fixed before you show up for your driver's test. So make sure that you do the cleaning, Pre-trip inspection, make sure that you put on clean clothes, brush your hair and those types of things, and whatnot. Okay, myths about driving instructors, or driving examiners rather. Don't wear sunglasses. If you need sunglasses, it's a bright sunny day and you have difficulty seeing, wear sunglasses. Okay, the reason I say that is some driving examiners will, or some driving instructors, oh, you can't wear sunglasses because they're looking at your eyes moving. Okay, they're not looking at your eyes moving because we physically, biologically cannot do the scanning that we need to do when driving a vehicle without moving our head. You have to move your head to shoulder check, to check in your center mirrors, to check in your wing mirrors, and to scan properly. And often in many cars, the A-pillar, that post that holds the windshield up on the left side of the vehicle, on the right side of the vehicle, will create a blind spot that you need to look around when you're making left turns and right turns. So you have to move your body, you have to move your head. Sometimes you're going to have to move forward in the seat and sometimes back to be able to observe and scan correctly. Because if the way is not clear and you can't see, don't go, okay? Don't engage in conversation. You can engage in conversation, but let the examiner initiate the conversation, okay? Especially at the beginning, just focus on what you're doing. And we go back here to the beginning of the comments with Weirdo, who said that if I have an attractive woman in the car, I'm not going to be able to concentrate. You need to focus on what you're doing for the first half an hour, first 15 or 20 minutes of your driving test. And in larger cities like New York City, for those of you going in the Bronx and whatnot, your test isn't going to be 15 minutes. It's going to be 5 to 8 minutes. So you need to be on from second one, okay? Examiners work to fail you. That is false. Examiners have a quota. False. I have to speak English perfectly, which is false. They know to point and to give you lots of notice. They do this every day. They do 10, 12, 15 tests a day. So they know how to communicate and give you directions to go right, left, and where to turn at the intersections. Examiners are unfair. 95% of driving examiners are doing an awesome job. Okay? There's that 5% in there that are crusty and miserable, but hopefully you don't get them. Things are going to go well. So know that about driving examiners. Okay, these two videos, have a look at these. Most common mistakes on a driver's test and automatic fails, and as well in conjunction with that, and I'll put all these videos down in the description. I didn't get a chance when I was setting up here, so I apologize about that. Have a look at that. Unexpected events on a driver's test. There's some things that are just not going to happen very often when you're training. For example, right turns on red lights, if you're allowed to do that in where you're taking your driver's test. Yellow lights. You may go out for 10 practice sessions and only encounter one yellow light where you have to come to a stop. Okay? Or pedestrians crossing and you're trying to make a right turn with pedestrians crossing. You can't charge the pedestrians. Those are unexpected events that may or may not happen on your driver's test. Shoulder checking. You must shoulder check every time you change directions of the vehicle. This is one of the most common errors for new drivers taking a driver's test. Shoulder check, shoulder check, shoulder check. Okay, you have to control the space in front of your vehicle, and you cannot adjust your mirrors contrary to what some theories are. And I want to find the Society of Automotive Engineers, and I want to just give them a smack in the head, because they have said that you can adjust your mirrors out on the highway so that you can look into your blind areas. Bunkus, okay? Bunkus. It's not true, okay? Remember, technology, blind spot detectors, backup cameras, sensors, proximity sensors and whatnot on your vehicle. These are all just backups, okay? You need to scan correctly for the purposes of your driver's test. Road signs, failing to adjust your speed according to signs, lane end signs, having to merge, coming to the correct stop at stop signed intersections, before the stop line, before the crosswalk or sidewalk. And if those two conditions don't exist, and most people don't know this, if those two conditions don't exist, then you stop at the edge of the road. School zone signs. We're almost at the end of school year. Most of these are not going to apply as of the end of next week, but know where these are in and around your area, okay? Road markings, pay attention to those. And again, coming back to situational awareness on the highway, I'm going to do a video on that, and I'll show you how to pay attention to that for the purposes of passing on the highway safely. Slow speed maneuvers, turning, parking, maneuvering. Slow speed maneuvers, although 7/8 of the driver's test is in a forward motion, it's this 1/8 of the driver's test, okay? Parallel parking, backing into a parking space, 3-point turns, which are the minimum for any driver's test, that are going to give you the most amount of grief. However, if you focus on these slow speed maneuvers, backing up in a straight line, 3-point turns, backing into a parking space, these are going to improve your overall driving. You will be a better driver overall because you'll know where your vehicle is in space and place. So 20% in, 80% out. If you can practice parallel parking, do that a couple of times every time you go out for a session, you're going to be a better driver overall because you'll know where your vehicle is in space and place. And you'll have better control of the primary controls, the accelerator, the steering wheel, and the brake. Okay, lane positioning, move to the right after turning left. When you make a left-hand turn on a multi-lane road, you have to move back to the right lane. The driving examiner will not tell you this. It is expected that you know this as part of your training. Unless the examiner says to you, okay, in the next block at the traffic light, I want you to turn left, then you stay in the left-hand lane. But other than that, you get back over to the right. The reason for that, every state, every province in Canada has a sign that says slower traffic, stay right. It applies in the cities, okay? You are doing the posted speed limit, therefore you are going to be the slowest vehicle on the roadway. Okay? Left lane to left lane when turning left, right lane to right lane when turning right, merging lanes, lane changes, moving the vehicle laterally, and communicating effectively with other traffic. Assess competency. There are 2 ways that you could fail a driver's test. Being assigned demerit points, and you're allowed approximately 35 points for most tests. 5 to 10 points for minor errors. 15 to 20 points for major errors. So, for example, if you go around on a right-hand turn and the examiner told you to turn left at the next block and you go right around and you move into the left lane, that's 20 points on a driver's test. If you're just not holding your vehicle in the lane and you kind of bump off the line, that's going to be 5 points, maybe 10 points, depending on the examiner. Now, know that driving examiners do have discretion about what they get you to do and the points that they assign. It's not a lot of discretion, but they do have some discretion. So one driving examiner might assign 5 points for you deviating in your lane. Another driving examiner may assign 10 points. All right. When we used to take students down for truck driving, we knew that one driving examiner, his pet peeve was drivers wandering in their lane, and they got assigned 5 or 10 points every time they wandered in their lane. Another driving examiner, it was crossing over solid white lines. You can't cross over solid white lines. Changing lanes over solid white lines is prohibited, and oftentimes they're found near intersections or found near crosswalks. These are the places that you're going to find those. So demerits, that's the one way that you're going to fail your driver's test. The other way that you potentially could fail is outright fail. For example, if the driving examiner intervenes in your driving for purposes of safety, that's an automatic fail on your driver's test. For most places, they're going to give you feedback at the end of your test and give you areas that you can improve. However, if you're in New York City, they're not going to give you feedback. They're simply just going to get out of the car and leave. And then after 6 p.m. that evening, you have to log into the DMV website and determine whether you passed or failed. Unfortunately, too many people in New York City have abused driving examiners, and unfortunately, they've had to put that in place to keep everybody safe. So good luck on your driver's test, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Pierce, yes, but somehow I would consider failing. I've been practicing, but somehow hitting the curb is quite disappointing. Yes, it is. They may end the test quickly. Yes, automatic fails on a driver's test. Rain, mine's ended early after second left turn, failed. Yes, and if you fail your driver's test because of a turn or whatnot, they're simply going to take you back to the DMV, and unfortunately, you're not going to pass your driver's test. Rain, I'm coming up at a stop sign, traffic both ways, but creeping still didn't allow me to see oncoming traffic before becoming a T-bone hazard. Yes, two-way stop signs give new drivers a lot of grief, all right? come to a stop at a complete stop at the correct stopping position behind the stop line, and then you have to move forward, and you have to keep kind of creeping forward until you can see. Do not proceed until you can see cross traffic and you know in fact that it is clear to go. It's the same thing as if you get into a parking space and you have driven into the parking space, as most of us do, and then you're backing out of the parking space. You don't commit to backing out and, you know, start giving it throttle until you are absolutely sure that it's clear, and you just kind of creep out, keep creeping out, creep out until you can see. Until you can see and you absolutely know that the way is clear, then you proceed. All right. And the other piece about this is that backup cameras, okay? Backup cameras only give you a view out the back of the vehicle. You still have to be looking to both sides. And depending on which way, when you're reversing, which way you're going to turn, because most of the time when we're I can't say that. When we're backing out of a parking space, we're either going to go right or left because we have to come out, get the vehicle, and then go in the direction we want to go. So you have to be looking to the sides. You can't just be looking at your backup camera or your mirrors. And if you do that on a driver's test, you will not be successful because you have to do that 360-degree scan. You have to have that 360-degree awareness around your vehicle. So know that. Yakov, your defensive driving videos was a lot of help for me. I work as a public transit bus driver. They just don't teach it here. Yeah, Yakov, I'm really happy to hear that that helped out. And there's a bunch of other stuff that I need to get working on the smarter defensive driving model that it's going to help people out. And I'm just trying to figure out how to package that and what I'm going to do with it in terms of helping people. And I'm just writing myself a note here, but thank you for that. And so glad that we can help out with the transit driving there. And Yakov, which city are you in Israel that you're driving transit bus, my friend? Chris, I talked to a lot of instructors and they told me it is very possible to get a new examiner if I took the previous examiner before in New York City. Okay, yes, and this is excellent what Chris is asking me here. If you take a driving test and you fail the driving test, unless you're taking your driving test in a very small facility where they have maybe 1 or 2 driving examiners, it is unlikely, like 95-98% unlikely, that you are going to have the same driving examiner again. You almost always get a different driving examiner the second time you take your test. And I think Sam will agree with me on that almost always, every time you take another driving test, you get a different driving examiner. They're very good about that. Tel Aviv region. Excellent. Yakov, that's awesome, my friend. I'll look that up on Google Maps later and have a look at that. But yeah, we can definitely give you some more defensive driving tips. And one of the other little ideas that I've had that I've been kind of thinking about is what you're talking about, Yakov, is that I've kind of got 2 audiences, actually 3 audiences on Smart Drive Test. If you look at my CDL transit bus, coaches, semi-trucks, I've got that audience. I've got defensive driving audience. And then I've got new drivers getting a license audience. So I've toyed with the idea, and it would be interesting to kind of hear what smart drivers think about this, is to either I make the choice to keep it all here in one place, or I split it into 3 channels for 3 different audiences. And I've been kind of having this in the back of my mind and trying to figure out what I want to do, whether I should split it into 3 channels or I should just keep it all on 1 channel. And I'd be interested to hear what you, as the smart drivers, have to say about that, as to whether you like to find all this information on 1 channel or you would rather like to have it on 3 channels. Because I know, I'm convinced that the YouTube algorithm would like it as a very specific audience for each channel, as opposed to everything about driving on 1 channel. Maddie, Rick, I got my G2. I never drove on the highway before. I'm from Toronto. How would you say I should start practicing? I'm kind of nervous. Okay, so Maddie, great question about driving on the highways as a new driver, because yes, it is intimidating. No doubt about it. My suggestion to you is to go out early in the morning or later in the evening when there isn't as much traffic. Go with someone who has some experience that can kind of help you out. Okay, definitely. And as well, look at the information about merging onto a highway. Okay, because you need to know how to merge and decelerate onto highways. Yakov says one channel. Also says we bus drivers drive cars too. Hey, yeah, awesome. That's great. Klaus, my friend, my cousin got rear-ended last week on traffic light in Stuttgart. His Toyota Yaris sadly is totaled because the battery was pushed in. It's unfortunate. How is your cousin doing, Klaus? I'm hoping that he's okay, because rear ends are just terrible. I mean, especially if you don't have the head restraint adjusted correctly and you get that whiplash. That's just terrible. Stuttgart, Germany. As many of you may or may not know, the BMW and the Audi. Am I correct on that, Klaus? The Audi headquarters and the BMW headquarters are both in Stuttgart, if I'm correct about that, if I remember correctly. Like your videos. Thank you, Maddie. That's awesome, my friend. So happy that we can help out. Elevator, I just saw a driver run a red light. That is an automatic fail on a driver's test. Yes. Marion says to stay with one channel as well. Thank you for that, Marion. Elevator fan. Oh, here's a funny one for you. Not a funny one. It's not funny. Little bit. Because we all start driving. We get our driver's license, and then we all start driving, and then we get our first ticket, our first traffic violation, whether it's a speeding ticket, a red light camera, a speed camera ticket. And Gavin, who was one of my first students who I trained, it was the first time that you had seen me in the car actually with a student and working with a student. And Gavin's videos are here on the channel. You can just look that up. Gavin got a red light ticket in Alberta, and this is actually good information for the rest of you out there. Is if you do get a red light camera ticket, or you get a speeding ticket, speed camera ticket, it says very clearly on the ticket. Now have a look and read it. Make sure that you do read it, because I got one 2 years ago when we drove back to Ontario. I got a speed camera ticket, and it was $176. And it said on the ticket, this will not have points, this won't be assigned to your insurance if you pay the ticket, blah, 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 all the rest of it. So, you know, accusations that it is a cash cow, I'm inclined to go that way. That, in fact, these things are about cash cows. They're about raising revenue for government coffers. They're not about safety. Because if they were about safety, it would infect your insurance and license, all those types of things. The point is, it was $176. Gavin got one, and he says to me, "Oh, I'm going to go to a court and I'm going to fight it, blah, blah, blah." And he sent the ticket to me, and it was very clear that he was in the intersection when the light turned red, because red light cameras are unforgiving, okay? Because there's one picture at one time, the light's yellow, he's before the stoplight, or before the stop line, he didn't come to a stop. And then the next picture is the car fully in the intersection, past the crosswalk, and it's a red light. And I said to him, "Well, how much is the ticket?" He said, "It's $146. I said, "Gavin, for the cost of the ticket and for your time, just pay the red light ticket, because it doesn't affect your license. It doesn't affect your insurance. You just pay the ticket, and that's it." And because when you go to traffic court, as you may or may not know, for those of you who haven't had a red light camera ticket or a speeding camera ticket yet, if you go to court, it's all day. They give you a date. They don't give you a time for going to court. So you have to show up in the morning when court starts, when traffic court starts at 9 o'clock, and you have to be there until 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And you could go anytime from 9 until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So you have to ask yourself, is my entire day worth $130 or $140? And it's probably not, because there's no other ramifications or questions about this. Now, in the past, I've got a speeding ticket, and there are, at least in Ontario, I haven't found this in other states or other places, that you can hire paralegals and they will go to court on your behalf for a fee. Okay, and I've done that in the past, and that has worked out for me, because the ticket that I got, this was years ago when I was driving truck, was 3 points on my license, 3 demerit points on my license. and I didn't want to have the demerit points on my license, and so they went to court, spoke to the judge. I got the points removed so long as I paid the fine, and I paid the fine. Okay, so that's another avenue that you can do if you do get a ticket. Blitzo, off topic, but will you get docked on your driving test if you see hand signals if you use hand signals to communicate with other people or drivers? You and another driver wear at a stop sign at the same time. Blitzo, I generally counsel new drivers not to wave on other drivers. If you're at a stop sign, just wait. They'll go, and okay, don't wave other people on. Now, it's different if there's a pedestrian and you're not sure whether the pedestrian's going to go or you're going to go, and it's kind of that back and forth thing. Now, get eye contact and then make appropriate hand gestures. These are other unexpected events that potentially could happen on your driver's test, but not likely. But definitely, you might have to do that. But for the most part, don't wave other people on during your driver's test. Just wait and let them do whatever they need to do to go, okay? And Klaus, I'm happy to know that you weren't hurt. That's really great when you get into a crash. It's nothing worse. Pierce, what's the court for you're talking about? Okay, so traffic court. So if you get a speeding ticket, you get a traffic violation, action contrary to a sign. For example, there's a sign over the intersection that says you can't make left turns between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. because of trying to reduce traffic congestion. You will get a fine, and then you have to go to traffic court to plead your case in court. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Klaus, the city of Stuttgart, the car builder Mercedes, the car with the star that always have the right of way, or not today. Right, it's Mercedes-Benz, not BMW. Excellent, thank you so much for that, Klaus. Nelmick, if I'm waiting to make a left turn on a unprotected green and an emergency vehicle is behind me, do I make the turn and pull over to the right? Nelmick, most of the time at intersections, it's best just to stop. Don't make the turn, because you potentially, if you're making a left turn, and that is an excellent question. If you're making a left turn in the intersection, what happens is the emergency vehicle approaches, all the traffic in the right lane stops, and what happens is the emergency vehicle goes out into the left-hand lane and proceeds through the intersection. So if you make a left-hand turn, you may turn across in front of the emergency vehicle. If you're making a left-hand turn and you're at the intersection and waiting, often it's best just to stop, wait for the emergency vehicle to pass, and then proceed. And there's another video here on the channel about emergency vehicles. This is another unexpected event. Not so much, if you're in New York City and learning to drive there, or, Chicago, Illinois, or Los Angeles, you may encounter emergency vehicles every day. However, if you're in some of the smaller towns and villages, emergency vehicles are going to be an unexpected event that don't happen very often. All right, so know that. Marion, I had an interesting moment the other day. I was using the roundabout and traffic was busy. I was concentrating on the traffic turning, etc. I finally started moving, and a guy on a bike started moving. Yes, and we had a poll on the community tab this week about cyclists, and wow, do people get excited and have some really firm beliefs, not very pleasant beliefs, about cyclists. So yes. Marion, across the pedestrian crossing, I didn't even see him as he blocked by the traffic. And yeah, unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. And that's why, Marion, when I talk to new drivers, do not lose the skill of shoulder checking, scanning. And I'm not going to, sugarcoat this for you, Marion. Roundabouts are busy. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I can remember when I moved to Australia in early 2000s, 2002, getting used to roundabouts was a bit of a new skill. There was you kind of coming up to the roundabout, and if it's not busy, you got to kind of be prepared to go and stop at the same time. And you got to be scanning and looking for pedestrians and cyclists. And it's a lot of stuff going on all at the same time. And so a lot of looking, a lot of preparing to stop, a lot of preparing to go and whatnot. Yes. Absolutely. Blitzo, also, why are roundabouts uncommon in the U.S. but common in other countries? Blitzo, I have a theory about it, but I don't know whether it's true or not. but they're just not common here, and they are beginning to reintroduce them into North America. Not reintroduce them; they were never here. They're beginning to introduce them here in North America, into the United States and into Canada. But unfortunately, American and Canadian authorities and engineers have mucked it up badly. First of all, they don't call them just roundabouts; they call them traffic circles and all kinds of other things that confuse drivers. And they should just be called roundabouts, because roundabouts are awesome. They're much, much better than conventional intersections. They move more traffic per hour. There's less points of conflict, so less crashes in roundabouts. And they reduce urban noise pollution, because cars are noisy. They make a lot of noise, especially when they're coming to a complete stop at stop sign intersections and four-way stop signs. I lived at the intersection of a stop sign, and, you know, accelerating vehicles and braking vehicles, it is noisy. So they reduce urban noise pollution, and I just think they're so much better, but they've messed them up here for sure. Klaus, the photo in my profile is an old beat up Porsche 944. Well, better an old beat up Porsche 944 than an old Dodge Ram. You didn't hear me say that. Nelmick, do you think changing lanes on highway is a bit harder than normal roads? Nelmick, no, it's not. And have a look at the changing lanes video. It's just keeping space in front of your vehicle and being aware of what's around you when you're driving. Fred, you got a plant Rick in your head saying shoulder check, it works great. Excellent. Yes. Shoulder check, shoulder check, shoulder check. I cannot say that enough, okay? Every time you change directions of the vehicle, shoulder check. Saeed, should we stop at red lights and check all lanes if you are empty to go, if you are going right? Saeed, yes, at red lights. And I'm going to put a note here for myself to put up the red light turning right video for you. I'll put that down in the description, and that way you can have a look at that. All right. Shin, how often do you think should I shoulder check to ensure I don't lose points on the road test? I check surroundings every 7-ish seconds, but I still lost points for it. Shin, 2 shoulder checks every time you change direction. So if you're going to turning right, for example, approximately half a block before the intersection, shoulder check, and then immediately before turning right, you're going to shoulder check again. Now, if you've been sitting at the intersection for a period of time, then shoulder check again, you know, maybe 2-3 times when you're sitting there. But every time you change directions, if you're going to go left, shoulder check. And it's that quick. It's just like this. Because what we're not looking when we're shoulder checking. We're not like doing a close examination of what we're looking at over there. What we're doing is we're looking for light and movement, because that's what our eyes are attracted to. Because we can only see about the size of a quarter, you know, about the size of your thumb at actual distance, okay? When we're focused in, when our central vision is focused in, that's all we can see, is about that much, okay? If you look at your thumb, hold your hand up like this and look at your thumb, you can't see anything else around. It's all blur, okay? To focus in, you got to change your perspective. So when we're shoulder checking, we're just looking for light and movement. We're looking for a bicycle, a rider, a pedestrian, a kid on a scooter or skater, right? That's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. So if we see something, it's like, oh, there's a cyclist or something. And then you look again, you're like, okay, it's a cyclist. And then you can put in place measures, driving skills that will keep you safe, so you know you don't run into them, you don't collide with them, because that's essentially what we're trying to do, right? We're not trying not to run into fixed objects, light standards, curbs, fire hydrants, and other people and road users when we're driving. That's what we're trying to avoid. So if you're not near anything, it's less likely that you're going to hit something. Okay, so maintain that space. And the other piece about that is if you have space in front of your vehicle, that 3 to 4 second following distance, and when you stop in traffic, that one vehicle length, it's less likely that you're going to hit something. And as well, if you have space, you have time. And if you have time, you have time to work. Okay? Remember, everybody in the world all saying, oh, there's never enough time, there's never enough time, and we can't have any more time. With driving, If you have space, you have time. And the more space you have, the more time you have to think and work and to put in place defensive driving measures that are going to keep you safe. Nelmick, Rick, does shoulder checking include the driver's window and the back left passenger's window, or just the passenger's window? Nelmick, it's just the passenger's window. It's 90 degrees, okay? 90 degrees this way, okay? Boom, 90 degrees. It's not, you're not looking out the back window. It's just straight 90 degrees. Pierce, yeah, simple. As long as I have good sleep and good eyesight, I can look for movement. Awesome. Marion, my left shoulder check is tricky as the door frame is right in my view. Yes. And this is what I was talking about the pillars, okay? And they start at the front windshield, the A pillar, and then behind the doors is the B pillar, C pillar, D pillar, so on and so forth. And those pillars in your vehicle are going to create blind areas, okay? And this is why when I say to people, when you're buying a vehicle or purchasing a vehicle or getting a vehicle, test drive a few different vehicles to figure out where those blind areas are. Because depending on who you are and how tall you are, right, or your body structure sitting in the vehicle, you may find that there's some vehicles that just don't work for you. All right. A few years ago, Toyota had a FJ Cruiser, and I test drove it, and I was like, no, didn't like it. Too many blind areas for me. It just felt too closed in, and I wouldn't drive that vehicle. Elevator, I am calling it a day because I have a doctor's appointment. Bye, everyone. Elevator fan, good luck. All the best, my friend. Take care. Michael, using backup camera on the driver's test. Yes, you can use your backup camera, but keep in mind, it's just a backup. All right? So when you're reversing, look at your backup camera, check your wing mirrors, and then look out through the back window. And I know that there are vehicles that don't have a very big back window, or you're in a pickup truck that has like a rack in the bed, or something across the back window, and those types of things. Just pretend, fake it till you make it, okay? But you can use your backup camera, you can use your mirrors, just check them, but be looking out through the back window. Tip, how can you get over your fear of driving? Tip, have a look at the video here on the channel. 9 tips to reduce fear and anxiety. Exposure therapy. The more time that you get in the vehicle, working the controls and those types of things, figure out how to turn on the air conditioning, how to turn on the defrost, how to turn on the windshield wipers, how to turn on the headlights, high-low beams, those types of things. The more exposure you get to the vehicle, the easier it is going to become, and the more that you are going to get over your driving anxiety. All right? And my friend Rob is here. Hello, Nickel City Driving Entertainment. I'm almost done reading your book, Rick. Great job. I'm loving it. Awesome. That is really great. And Rob, we had a little glitch with uploading it to Amazon, so we're hoping that this week is the week that we get it uploaded to Amazon. So we're working on that last piece there. Blitzo, I have a question on my driver's license. Does Class C mean that I can drive personal vehicles? Also, what does and none mean? And none. Blitzo, you'd have to send me an email for that, rick@smartdrivetest.com, and I'll have a look at that. But Class C is a car towing a trailer not exceeding 10,000 pounds. So that's a pretty big trailer. 10,000 pounds, 5 tons. That's a big trailer. So it's a pretty big pickup truck, like a 1-ton pickup truck with 5 tons on the trailer. That's the maximum that you can haul, okay? And no air brakes. Klaus, with train tracks crossing the middle. Okay, then practice, repeat the process. Awesome. Looking at the ground, no. Pierce, when you're making a turn and you want the vehicle to go in the direction that you want it to go, look where you want the vehicle to go. Know that. The vehicle will go where you're looking. This is why new drivers get into trouble when they're shoulder checking, and they shoulder check because they're shoulder checking too long and they're looking over there and the vehicle starts to wander. All right, so that's why shoulder checks are just like this quick head turn. When you're making turns, after you get halfway through the turn, look in the direction you want the vehicle to go, and then accelerate and go where the vehicle will go where you're looking. Nelmick, backing up here, have to look at the side mirrors, rear views, and do a 360 degree check. It's all really quick NAMLEC when you're reversing, okay? So you come up, stop the vehicle, quick 360-degree scan, check your backup camera, your wing mirrors, and then out through the back window and start and proceed, okay? But you put the vehicle, as soon as you come up and stop, put the vehicle into reverse, and the reason you put the vehicle into reverse is it activates the backup lights on the car. So do that when you're getting ready to back up. Nameless, have you ever driven to Quebec? Nameless, I haven't driven to Quebec, but I've driven in Quebec, the province of Quebec. So I guess that would be one and the same. Yes, I drove big truck to Quebec, and I've driven through Quebec, been there, and I'm going to Montreal again in August. And I'm going to actually do some videos this year because we've got a bit more time than we did last year. So I'll do some videos when I'm in Montreal. Blitzo, I have a question on my driver's list. Okay, we already answered that one. Awesome. Ray, my instructor, said he loved how I was shoulder checking every time in my driver's test. That's awesome, and that is an excellent comment. Feedback, Ray, that you were doing your shoulder checks well, and this is one of the pieces that do not lose that skill after you get your license, okay? Continue to shoulder check, shoulder check, shoulder check. It is one of the skills that's going to keep you safe and is part of your defensive driving, all right? And I say this again and again and again, okay? Not shoulder checking is to driving what not checking to see if a weapon is loaded is to gun safety. Why on any planet would you drive a 2,000-pound vehicle, 3,000, 4,000s? I mean, some of these pickup trucks are 4,000s. If you're driving an electric vehicle, then it's definitely 4,000. Change directions of the vehicle and not shoulder check to see if there's a pedestrian or vulnerable road user in your blind areas, all right? Fred says, did Stryker get his permit yet? No, Stryker didn't get his permit yet. He's probably outside eating an ant or something. So he's doing really well. Rob, an instructor friend of mine last week blew a tire when a student drifted to the right when changing lanes to the left. Took too long to shoulder check. Drifted to the right. Okay. Okay, so he blew a tire. So I'm trying to picture this in my head, Rob. That's why I was pausing. I was kind of reading the comment, trying to picture this in my head. How did the tire blow? Did the student hit something, or the student was just like, as you said, was looking too long and they drifted over? That's pretty common, but what happened there? Klaus, a traffic circle is a different thing. A roundabout is basically a round intersection like a tire. I don't know why Canada isn't more built like this. In Germany somewhere there is a roundabout. Okay. Traffic circle. Different thing. A roundabout is basically a round intersection like a tire. Okay, so I guess there is a difference between traffic circles and roundabouts. Is a traffic circle then, Klaus, is that basically where they just throw a button in the middle of the intersection and then they call it a roundabout, or they call it a traffic circle? Is that how that works? Steered to the right and hit the curb. Okay, that's what I was thinking, Rob, is that they hit the curb with the tire and blew the tire. Okay. Yeah, that was probably a learning experience for the instructor. Did you say it was an instructor or an examiner? An instructor. Okay, so an instructor. So yeah, that was probably a learning experience for them, that they've got to kind of pay attention to what the student's doing and then intervene on the steering wheel and get a hold of it before they drift too far over. We all have those learning experiences where we're like, yeah, we need to pay more attention when they're doing that. Shoulder check every time you signal. Yes, mirror signal shoulder check every time you change directions of the vehicle. Absolutely. Excellent. Okay, lots of great questions, lots of great information about passing a driver's test, driving examiners. And the unfortunate part is if you do get a crusty old driving examiner that's in your test and they get in the vehicle, they're barking orders, they're not being very pleasant, focus on what you're doing. All right. I cannot emphasize that enough. I know that you're stressed out. The driving examiner is not making it easy. Unfortunately, there are people, driving examiners, that are going to be kind of miserable and crusty. You need to do that, okay? You need to focus in on what you're doing. You need to say to yourself in your head, not out loud for sure, screw you, I'm going to pass my driver's test, okay? I'm going to do what I need to do to take away your right to fail me. That's what you need to do to be successful on passing your test. So focus, 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 like laser focus, like tune them out, okay? And the other piece about driving examiners that I will tell you is they're sitting over there, they're writing crazily on a clipboard. Do not take note of what they're doing. Do not get stuck into that. If you make a mistake, just take a breath and carry on, because the driving examiner may not even have seen the mistake that you thought you made. Okay? So just take a breath and keep going with your test until the examiner tells you to stop. Okay? Keep going, because as I said, they may not even have seen the mistake that you thought you made. Just keep going. And the other thing is, be positive about it, okay? If you passed, you passed. Nobody cares how many mistakes you made. If you passed, you've got the rest of your driving career to work on perfection. And you need to put in place the defensive driving skills, space management, observation, communication, and speed management to keep yourself safe after you're driving, because that's when the real learning begins. All right? Getting your driver's license is a low watermark in terms of the skills and abilities you need to drive safely and not be involved in a crash, because you may learn how to drive in the summertime. You don't have any experience with winter snow conditions. You don't have any experience with driving in freezing rain. You don't have any experience with driving in rain at night. You may not have ever driven at night, because right now, summertime, I mean, here where I live on the West Coast, it gets light at 4 o'clock in the morning and it gets dark at 10 p.m. at night. So you may never, for months and months and months, drive at night. There are a lot of skills that you need to acquire as a driver after you get your license. So your driver's license is a low watermark. There's still a lot of stuff for you to learn, and there's a lot of anxiety and uncertainty around driving after you get your driver's license. All right, one smart driver here asked me about driving on highways in and around the Toronto area after they get their license, and how you get used to that, because there's a lot of fear and trepidation about that. Okay, it can be very intimidating. Drive into Vancouver, drive into any major metropolitan city, New York City, Atlanta, Georgia, those types of places. It can be very intimidating with all this traffic driving at 60 miles an hour, 65, 70 miles an hour. It's intimidating. All right? So there's a lot to learn after you get your driver's license. But one piece of information, if you think you made a mistake on your driver's test, don't get stuck into it. Okay? Focus on what you're doing and keep going until the driving examiner tells you to stop. All right? And focus on what you're doing. Focus on what you're doing, and most of them are going to be good. NELMIC, they modified the G test last year due to COVID. It's still in effect indefinitely. Yeah, and unfortunately they did do that, that you don't have to do slow speed maneuvers for your full G test in the province of Ontario. Yes, don't dwell on your mistakes. Pierce, if you let off the brake and didn't put your foot on the accelerator, the car moves slow with no speed. Yes, it will, depending on where you are, depending on circumstances, uphill and downhill. Marion, sorry, that's what is concerning me with upcoming winter that I'm not sure about. You're going to be just fine, Marion. Take your time. And that HRV should be really good in the snow, so you're going to be really, really fine. Close, the traffic circle is a round intersection, almost like a roundabout, but it has formed like a chicken egg, and there have traffic lights sometimes. Okay, so they had a lot of traffic lights on the traffic circles there in Spain when I was there, in Barcelona and in Madrid. So there's the difference. All right. If you have any questions, leave a comment down in the comment section there. We'll do what we can to help you out. Send me an email, rick@smartdrivetest.com. Do what I can to help you out. Check out Pass Your Driver's Test First Time Course Package over at the Smart Drive Test website. Guaranteed to pass first time. And as a bonus, we throw in both the winter and defensive driving smart courses to keep you safe after you get your license, because that's when you're at highest risk. And keep in mind, right now, if I cannot say it enough, we are in the highest risk for crashing 100 days of the year, June, July, and August, first 2 weeks in September. So be safe, lots of scanning, situational awareness. I'm going to put up that short today. Have a look at that. And all of that will keep you safe, okay? Klaus, somewhere in Germany, you will see a roundabout with train tracks crossing the middle and gates. Amazing traffic concept. Yeah, Klaus, and in Melbourne, Australia, they have big roundabouts with tram tracks across them. So yes, I'm familiar with some of those as well. Yes, it's all-wheel drive. Awesome. Okay. Leave it there for today. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Striker, come! He's outside somewhere, so we'll see if he comes here. Good luck on your driver's test. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Doesn't seem like Striker's going to come here, so we'll leave it there, and we'll see you tomorrow. Another live stream tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I'll put that up and give you all the information about that. Have a great day. All the best.